Hello. This is the second video of on medical corruption on Guam. The last video focused on the Guam Board of Medical Examiners and Nathaniel Berg as the chairperson. This video is going to focus on the Mandatory Malpractice Arbitration Act. And as you can tell, I'm not a big techie, and I don't have a lot of podcast materials and those things. So just bear with me. The Guam Mandatory Malpractice Arbitration Act is the scam of all scams on the people of Guam, where doctors on Guam and other medical personnel, including the Guam Regional Medical City, are protected from malpractice unless you are very rich and have maybe $60,000-$70,000 in your pocket to be able to take these doctors to court, or to be able to take them into arbitration. You can't go to court. The Mandatory Malpractice Act protects doctors who are negligent in more than one way. The first way is it allows them to walk away when they injure or kill one of our loved ones. Again, unless you have a lot of money to take them into arbitration. And most people, the average person, doesn't have 50, 60, 70, or whatever it is, sitting in the bank. And these doctors know it, so they get a chance to they pretty much walk away. You don't have a right to due process. You don't have a right to go to court. And even if you went to arbitration, you still, and it depends on how it worked out for you, you still don't have a right to go to court unless you're willing to make all kinds of concessions with the doctors. And the whole Arbitration Act is kind of secretive, so you really don't know which doctors have done what and what's going on. The Arbitration Act has been around for years, and if you want to read up on it or know more on it, take a look at the link below. This is the link to one of my pages. The first page deals with what happened to my son Asher Dean, and the second page deals with the Guam Mandatory Malpractice Arbitration Act and the problems with it, as well as the three public hearings that we've had discussing it, and so forth, and so on. So I think it's important that you take a look at it if you want to read it. It's been around. It was first found to be not constitutional, and it was rewritten. It's been around for about, maybe 30 years now. And based on statistics, we have national statistics on Guam. We probably have 10 people per month. Based on national statistics, we probably have 10 people per month that die from medical malpractice. Doctors are protected. But one of the other things the law does, let's say as an example, you bring your child in, similar to what happened to baby Faith, if you know that story. You bring your child in to the hospital, and the doctors don't come in to see the child develops a fever, develops sepsis because of a dirty IV needle, and that child dies from alleged malpractice negligence. Okay, so that child dies. Now, do you want that pediatrician to see your newborn or your child the next day? Well, you have no choice, because there is absolutely no reporting. The Medical Malpractice Arbitration Act sets it up so doctors don't have to tell anybody what happened. The parents don't have money to go into arbitration and take them to court. So that doctor just goes on to the next patient. So in essence, a doctor can kill your loved one, can kill your child, can kill your baby, your mother, your father, whoever, your spouse, in the morning through blatant negligence. Go have his tuna fish or her tuna fish sandwich for lunch, wash their hands, and then they're seeing another patient in the afternoon who has no idea what happened in the morning and has no idea what the history of this doctor is. Now, this is one of the biggest problems with the act, because it allows lack of accountability by doctors when they injure and kill us, and it allows lack of knowledge when we want to know what happened. if we want to know what a doctor's history is. To make matters worse, the Guam Board of Medical Examiners, in their wisdom or lack of, have brought many doctors to Guam that have a history of medical negligence in the States or other places, or inappropriate behavior, or inappropriate sexual conduct, and have brought those doctors to Guam. Those doctors want to come to Guam because we have the lowest malpractice rate if they have to pay anything. They're protected by the Arbitration Act. And oh, by the way, I like to call the Arbitration Act the death law. So if you hear me say the death law, I'm referring to the Arbitration Act. So they bring these doctors to Guam who really can't work in other places because they have histories of malpractice or negligent behavior, and they come and they apply to Guam because the Guam Board of Medical Examiners, again, who's supposed to be protecting the public, allows them to come in, allows them to practice on Guam. I have listened to the last 2 or 3 of their meetings online, and it seems like each meeting is at least one doctor will come to Guam, or will talk about that had a history of malpractice that they license. Those doctors come here. Do they repeat what they do? Maybe some do, maybe some don't. But there are cases where those doctors with histories of medical malpractice or histories of other things that they've done in the States will come to Guam and will repeat the action. But when they repeat the action, when they do it, they're protected here. Medical Mandatory Malpractice Arbitration Act protects them. You won't even know it, what they did. So they can keep on practicing here with virtually no or low malpractice insurance. They can kill anyone and we won't know it. To say something about this is, look at it this way. How many people should a doctor be allowed to kill through medical negligence and be thrown off the island or lose their license? Think about that. How many? 1, 2, 3, 4? Well, with the law, they can kill as many as they want because the families can't afford to take them to arbitration, and they're not allowed to go to court. So virtually, your pediatrician or your doctor could have a history of medical negligence against many people that he injured or she injured and still practice. You don't know it. Part of the reason that you don't know it is, again, going back to the Guam Board of Medical Examiners, they are, by law, the law is 8 years old, the information law that was developed by Senator Tina Mooney Barnes 8 years ago, by law they're supposed to have on their website a list of doctors and their backgrounds and all this other information that's pertinent for family members or anyone choosing a doctor so they know it. They haven't done it. 8 years, they haven't followed the law. Again, why haven't they followed the law? It's all about protecting the doctors and not protecting the public. So, okay, our legislature supports this law. They have nothing. There's been some attempts to discuss it, but there's been no attempts to change the arbitration law. For some reason, and some have pointed out, and some have provided evidence, including Candid News on this site, show that many of these doctors receive donations, political donations, and other help from medical groups. They get donations. Many of these doctors have family members that are doctors or they're in the business. And they all come up with the excuse, and they say it's the doctor's talking point about this law. Oh, if we get rid of the Mandatory Malpractice Arbitration Act, then we won't be able to get good doctors on Guam. We won't be able to get doctors on Guam. Well, as I just said, yes, they can get doctors on Guam thanks to that law. But the doctors that they're getting are not the doctors that we want. They're doctors already with histories for the most part. And I don't know of any doctor, and they haven't shown this, of any doctor said, oh, I'm going to move, I'm a specialist, I'm a neurosurgeon, and I'm a specialist, and I'm going to move to Guam because I have low malpractice rates there, and it's a nice place to live, and I'm going to move to Guam and live there because of that. That doesn't happen. Doesn't attract doctors here. That hasn't happened. No one can show proof of that. Usually doctors are used to paying malpractice rates in the States, and if they're going to come to Guam, they're going to come here for other reasons. The beauty of the island, living in paradise. They're not coming here because of low malpractice rates. So, they're correct. Doctors are correct. It does attract doctors to Guam, but as I just said, it's those doctors who maybe cannot work in other places. So what's the real reason for this law? Legislature won't change it. They keep coming up with talking points. They even let doctors write the law. Imagine this. Doctors participating in writing amendments to these laws. Why don't we have drunk drivers write their own laws? Why don't we have killers, other kinds of killers, that write their own laws? So what's the real reason? Now, many people come up and they ask us, why does the law continue to exist? Well, in my opinion, the law exists because we have a group in this island, it's the medical culture of Guam, who's learned to be not accountable. When people are not accountable, when children are not accountable, when adults are not accountable, a basic psychological tenet is they become apathetical. And these doctors become apathetic and think that they can do whatever they want. They become arrogant. Okay? Not all doctors. I've said this many times. We have great doctors on Guam. I've had wonderful doctors, and I know of wonderful doctors that I still see. We got great doctors. But it's not about the great doctors, except for the fact that sometimes those great doctors are hiding what the negligent doctors are doing by supporting a law that doesn't make these doctors accountable. Okay, so then why do we have this law? Well, in my opinion, we have this law. It goes to the bottom line. Doctors and medical people, the hospital, insurance company, all save big bucks. Doctors can do less testing. They don't have to be as worried or concerned that they're doing all the lab tests. Insurance company saves money. Doctors don't have to pay malpractice insurance. That's big bucks. I'm not sure the exact amount because each doctor is different, but you're probably talking $40,000 a year or more, some maybe less, that they have to pay for malpractice insurance that they don't pay on Guam. Imagine that. What is your salary per year? Or whatever your salary is per year, that's probably how much these doctors save by not being accountable to us. And we had three information hearings last year on the law. And some people say, well, if we force doctors to be accountable, or if we get rid of the Mandatory Arbitration Act, doctors will leave. Several doctors stated they will not leave Guam. Okay, several stated that, but and they won't leave the islands, and they won't. Why would they leave? If they go, they're going to have to pay malpractice someplace else. And Guam doctors are not the lowest paid in the country. They're some of the highest paid in the country. But so why do we have the law? The law is because it saves them money. And if you don't believe that, all you have to do is watch the testimony of one of the doctors who spoke about her bottom line continuously. She talked about they don't make money on Guam, or they don't do this on Guam, or the insurance company doesn't pay them. Just take a listen to what she's saying and listen carefully. She was really the only person that was honest enough and came out and said why the law is important to her, and this is why the law is important. This is why the law is important to other people. Take a listen to this.